Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and no, we're still not back in our home in Renaissance Bank in Alpharetta, but we're looking forward to being there sometime soon. But in the meantime, that doesn't mean they're not closed for business. They're open for business, and they actually answer their own phone, which I find nice if you really want personal service with your bank. Now, if you like 1-800 numbers and you like, automated computer voices, don't call Renaissance because they're not a good fit for you. But if you want something a little more personal, they're a great bank, and I value that with the clients I work with, and that's why I work with Renaissance Bank. So go to renaissancebank.com, find the local office near you. They've got 200 across the South open and ready to serve you, and just call them and make an appointment, and you will be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Jason Neu. And Jason is with Dichi Performance Group, which is part of the ActionCOACH family. Jason, welcome.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Great. How are you today?
Man, it is another dreary day outside, but that's not going to get us down, right, John?
No, that's not going to feed the bulldog, but we're going we're going to charge on. So let's talk a little bit about you and how you help folks out there. Talk about what you do at Dichi Performance Group.
Sounds good. Well, at Dichi, which is an ActionCOACH affiliate, right? At the end of the day, what I like to say is we're in the business of strategy. And that strategy is a net result of how does a business grow, and the uniqueness in there is being able to meet someone as a business owner at the point of which they're in, and helping them grow to whatever capacity that is in their vision. It's not our vision; it's theirs. Where do they want to take this thing? So that, at the end of the day, John, really is what I'm all about. It's about performance and growth, and being an expert in those fields to each and every business owner. At the end of the day, I have a passion for making sure that our local businesses provide abundancy to themselves and to their employees. And so, especially during this time, John, where this is just my personal belief, the economic impact of this whole crisis we're going through really hasn't even been felt yet. And so I take it as a personal mission that if one business fails on my watch, that's not okay with me. And so I want to be able to provide a service to see those people really thrive during this time.
Yeah, thank you for naming that, because I think a lot of folks are, and business owners are supposed to do this, be optimistic folks and look at this. We're coming out of this, and the glass is half full and getting fuller. And I think you're right. I don't think we've really gotten there. And what, in terms of getting back to whatever normal will be on the other side of this, why do you feel that way? I mean, why do you feel that we've got some more rough waves ahead of us?
Well, again, I don't want to go too deep in it because a lot of it is just personal intuition, which doesn't really mean a whole lot.
But you're the expert, Jason. That's why I've got you on here, right?
Sure. Well, when you look at the impacts of pandemics, up until this point, it's been very regionalized, right? At no time in the history of the universe has it affected a global impact. And so when there's global impacts, there is rippling effects. And so when you have, the majority of our needs still being imported, we're behind the eight ball still. And so, some of the people, especially in the building trades, right? So they're starting to feel that crunch right now with shortages. The freight brokerage concerns, right, which is also affecting so many other issues here nationally, domestically. So it really is going to be a huge ripple effect. How long that lasts, who knows? But again, that stuff it's not a light switch. It doesn't just come on and off. It takes time for it to really show its true backside. So I think that the hard stuff's still coming.
And that's one reason why businesses, I would think, should have a coach. So is to maybe talk to them in terms of things they don't want to hear. But that's me talking. I'd rather hear you answer that question. Why should a business owner have a coach?
Well, why do some of the greatest of all time have a coach? Right, let's think of it in terms of sports, shall we? So watched some really good games yesterday. Right, watched Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees duke it out on screen. Some of the best in the league. Right, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan. I mean, the list can go on. Oprah Winfrey. Right, some of the greatest of all times. These are people that have coaches. You know, one of the biggest nomenclatures is that someone that is not doing well or that really needs a lifeline should probably hire a coach. And that's true. I would also say on the flip side that if you're doing things well and you really want to grow or scale, then a coach is also highly important. And for me, there's two sides to look at this. The first side is let's look at the business owner that's struggling because they don't know how, right? So a lot of this has to do with knowledge. It definitely isn't their skill. Most business owners that I know are highly skilled at what they do. That's why they got into business in the first place. So really what it comes down to at the end of the day is really just a knowledge. So from a coachability standpoint, giving them the knowledge that they need is vital. Well, let's look at it on the other side. Let's talk about the business owner that's really doing it well, that seems to have steady customers. They seem to have steady cash flow. Why do they need a coach? And I like to liken this to Michael Jordan when he was playing basketball in college. Right, came from college, went into pro. His 3-point range was really lacking. Right, it was converting in the double digits, low teens. Right, 13%, 14%, so somewhere around there. Worked with his coach. And within the next season, increased it to 36, 37%, all because his elbow was out an inch and a half. You know, Michael Jordan knew the elbow rule. He knew the rule. He just couldn't see it. And so that level of objectivity that a coach brings within your organization it's priceless. The amount of focus and the amount of accountability that's there is also priceless. So, that's why I say that everyone needs to have a coach. Because the growing and the learning never ends, and the level of objectivity never ends. And so put yourself in a position to succeed from the front. Hire a coach. And
coaching is, I know for you, because I know you, it's not just a rah-rah thing. I mean, coaching is about the fundamentals. You mentioned one example there with Jordan. It's about little details and how those little details add up into big results.
Yeah. I would say it's kind of like the question that I get all the time, John. And I don't say all the time, but pretty regularly. Hey, Jason, got a quick question. So look, what's the one thing that I should be looking at right now? Right? What's the one thing that I could be doing in my business right now? What's the one thing? And I think you hit the nail on the head, John. There is no one thing. There is no silver bullet in this thing we call business. Business at the end of the day, it's just math. It's just numbers. It really is. And when you're trying to put all of your eggs in that silver bullet basket, it never really works. So right now, a business that I'm talking to, you're in one of three categories. You're either in the category where you've got so much work, you really don't know what to do, right? You may have some processes in place, but you're really not implementing them. Or you may be having some really difficult challenges getting some new employees in, right? So that's the one category that I'm talking to. And right now, that would be probably the trades guys, right? They're really, really busy.
Sure.
The second category are the business owners that have a steady cash flow. They've got steady customers. They just don't know how to grow to the next level. So that's the second category that I talk to. The third category that I talk to is someone that has extremely limited cash flow and is not sure that they're going to make it. And so what I would tell each and every one of them in their own way is that there's lots of little things that we need to be doing that equal the success that you're going to feel. And so I wanted to piggyback off what you said there because most business owners are kind of narrow-minded to that one or two big things that they need to be doing. And it's many, 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 many small things to equal that success.
And there's power in dealing with small things and making small improvements in a lot of little aspects of the business, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Say
so
more
if
on
you
that.
look at if you look at the average business owner, I would venture to say that the average business owner, they put a lot of their focus on their customers. They put a lot of focus on the revenue that they're making, and obviously they're putting some focus on their profitability, right? Because the profitability is one of the most important things to this whole aspect. It's not how big you can get; it's how much money can you keep in your pocket, right? So profitability is the big one. If you just focus on those three areas, them in themselves, they don't really do anything for you. And so where are the areas that you really should be focusing on in small increments to give you the biggest bang for your buck? And I would tell you that right now, currently, the average business owner that I talk to, where they find that improvement is in lead generation, right? They all want to talk about lead gen. They all want to talk about marketing. And that's great. And rightfully so. But I would venture to tell you that lead generation is the most expensive piece of your business. So yes, let's put some strategies in place to get that increased. The second thing that I think that a lot of business owners overlook is what's the strategy around conversion rate, right? And it's interesting, John, that on a 30,000 foot level, the conversion rate conversation in itself is important because I don't think that a lot of businesses have a lot of strategies centered around conversion rate. But I think that there's a really good golden nugget in the marketing as it relates to the conversion rate. Because a lot of times when I talk to business owners and I ask pinpointed questions, I'll find that there's not really an alignment between their marketing and their sales. And so marketing thinks that it's doing its job by producing all of the marketing that it needs, but yet the salespeople are not converting high, right? So so now they're just saying, well, they have a conversion problem in their salespeople. When in fact, if they really peel back the onion, they have a marketing problem because it's not attracting the ideal client. And therefore their conversion rate is lower or their average dollar sale is lower. So I think that there's absolute areas for improvement in the conversion rate. Then we look at things like repeat business. You and I know that the fastest way to profitability is by producing raving fans that gets your repeat customers in, right? There's no acquisition cost there. There's very little marketing dollars that are placed against it. So creating strategies against that are hypercritical in my opinion. This is all the low-hanging fruit. And to be honest, I think it's one of the biggest areas of opportunity today is in wallet share. If you think about repeat business and going after new business, I don't know about you, John, and it's really, really sad, but just this weekend I was driving to Home Depot and I intentionally looked at all of the strip malls, the shopping malls. And almost everyone that I went by that I know intimately, there's 3, 4, 5 empty locations now. And so those clients are going somewhere. There is market share. There is wallet share to be had right now. And so it's a huge opportunity, but I digress. I'm going in a rabbit hole.
No,
I'm going in a rabbit hole.
No, but hold that thought. I want to get to that, but keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look for the areas of opportunity in building up your repeat business. And then the other area that I would say is your average dollar sale. And I know this is an area that you excel in pricing, but it's more than just pricing too, right? So what strategies can you do to improve your average dollar sale? What's your upsell? What's your downsell? What's your cross sell? Being strategic. And then finally, obviously, everyone wants to talk about the profit margin. The challenge in there lies is that most business owners don't have a strategy in place to attack those 5 areas. And if all they did was just, by the way, if all they did was just test and measured their results in each one of those, as you know, what you measure gets changed. They would see a slight change. But if you introduce 3 or 4 new strategies in each one of these areas and then tested and measured their success in there, I think you'd find that, if you just did lead generation, would your bottom line improve 5 or 10%? Yeah, of course it would. But if you did 3 or 4 new strategies in all 5, like you said, you have a compounding effect. And so if you just invested time and energy into those 5 areas in small, bite-sized, chewable pieces, right? Strategies that we can implement, that we can test and measure, and we can adjust if we need to. Our average client, my average client today, Dichi Performance Group, we see a 58% increase to the bottom line within 12 months. Because this is how we coach. We coach on these 5 areas, very small adjustments. We're not looking for radical changes here. Just small, minor adjustments. Hopefully that answers your question, John.
Yeah, no, that was great. Good words here from Jason Neu, and he's with Dichi Performance Group, his own practice, and that's his firm is an ActionCOACH affiliate. So I do want to get back to, you mentioned opportunity. I wanted to get back to that because we started off on a little bit of a down note and things that, can go wrong, but in the middle of all this, there's still opportunity. So, talk about the biggest opportunities that you see right now for business owners, and maybe some of that you covered, but amplify that.
Yeah, I think that it's a little bit different for each, niche, each category. There's different opportunities for the healthcare industry, just as there's different opportunities for professional services industry. But I think on a whole, the largest opportunity is in growth, period. Right? It's not really innovation right now, which it's important. It's not really IT related, even though that's important. If you ask the average CEO right now, I think Cisco just did this survey. I think they said 53% of the responses came in growth. And that growth, I think that part of Cisco's survey was that 53%? No, it wasn't 53%. It was 74%. 74% of those who were interviewed said they didn't know how to grow. So if we look at growth from your niche, what does growth look like for you? I think that the share of wallet thing is huge. Market share, right? Share of wallet. Kind of similar. They're going somewhere. So, which then also equates to the biggest opportunity, which is also the biggest challenge for us, which is how do we gain that market share? How do we market ourselves to get that? I think marketing as a whole is a huge opportunity for people, because here's the real truth. Somewhere around 80% of marketing fails. And so how do you position yourself to be in that 20 percentile? What do you do differently to be able to market your company different, to actually take advantage of the share of wallet that's available right now? I mean, today, wallet share is a real conversation. And I would tell you that in that area of opportunity is the biggest challenge, because most people, even some marketing companies, have no idea what they're doing. So for example, if I took my average client right now and I had just had a regular conversation around marketing, there is a very high probability that their answers would all come back in a tactical answer. Right. So this is how they do that. Right. So it's a social media conversation. It's a print media conversation. It's a broad media conversation. It's all tactical conversation. Mm-hmm. There's not really a lot of conversations centered around the strategic side, which is what is the message? What is the tone? What is everything that centers around the message? It's hard, and it's hard because we've moved into this era of marketing ourselves all the wrong way based on, the early 50s, 60s, and 70s of advertising changing. And when the advertising changed, marketing became this slogan fest, all these slogans now. And, I don't know if you remember way back in the day when there was only 3 TV channels on, their TV commercials were like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, unfortunately, I remember that, Jason. But anyway, thank you for bringing that up.
My research was only done on research on it. It was not my experience. But see, there lies the big problem. Is back then when you had 2 minutes, right? You could interrupt someone's thought process in a marketing ad, right? You could engage them, right? Mm-hmm. You could now start to educate them of why you were different, so that you could then get to the offer. And when they went from 2 minutes to, 1,000 channels in 30 seconds, how do you do all of that in 30 seconds? And so what you see in marketing today is this era of brand builders that have been brought into our marketing fold to create these marketing messages that attract, as much as they can in 30 seconds. And so the way most marketing is done today, it's just done wrong. And I think that's a huge area of opportunity in your business today, or in most businesses today.
Yeah, and there, you're so right on. Is that when people talk about marketing, they talk about tactics and not the strategy behind it, and that's really what you're getting at. Is you got to get the strategy right, and then the tactics come out of that.
That's right. All the liquid gold for any marketing campaign is almost exclusively in the strategic side. It's the exact words you use. It's the tone in which you say it. It's the timing in which you release it. It's the pictures that go along with it. There's so many variables to this. So think about this. Marketing is a balancing act, right? It has many, many moving parts. It's very fragile, and it's a little daunting for those who don't know how to do it, right? It's kind of like a science experiment, right? For it to work, it needs to be in a controlled, monitored, and in a place where you can adjust it if that's needed, right? It's like a scientist, right? A marketer has to take in consideration their location, right? The size of their community, their target market, which a lot of us get wrong, our competitors, right? If one variable changes, it can throw off the entire platform. So we got to be real strategic in what that messaging looks like. Otherwise, the tactical thing is, that's what gets business owners to say, yeah, I've tried that didn't work. Yeah, I've tried that didn't work. Yeah, I've tried that didn't work. That's the real reason.
Folks, we're here with Jason Neu, and he's with Dichi Performance Group, his own practice, and Dichi is an ActionCOACH affiliate. I want to shift gears here just a bit, and Jason, I'll let you talk a little bit about you and your background and really kind of what your journey was up until opening your own practice.
All right. How much time we got? I'm kidding. I'll make it short. So, what can I tell you? So I grew up, John, in a family of entrepreneurs, and I use the word entrepreneur lightly, right? So for me, an entrepreneur is someone that may have arrived that's now collecting passive income, right? You have arrived when you're collecting passive income. And I've got both sides of the spectrum of that within my family. So both of my grandfathers were entrepreneurs, right? Real estate, land development, home builders. A lot of it centered around the home building, building materials trades world. Every one of my uncles is an entrepreneur, and some of my aunts are entrepreneurs. So my mother and father were also entrepreneurs. But on the mother and father side is when things went south. And so everything that my mom and dad tried to do as business owners never really seemed to catch. And so from a very young age, I always had this fascination of why does, in a competing world, right? Similar demographics, geographics. Why does one work and why does one not work? What's the differentiator there? And so when I left school, I had a decision. I could go either into the family business with my uncles, or I could go off on my own. And I chose to go on my own, provide my own path. And so in a long story short, if you go back and look at my career, my resume, you're going to find a very methodical approach to learning the industry that I was in frontwards and backwards. So I started in the building trades. So I started as an installer. So for 10 years, I installed hands and feet, right? Working with my hands, got the installation down, mastered that, and then moved into my next phase, which was manufacturing. So I went to go work for a manufacturer. I learned how it was developed from the earth, how it got into a machine, all the intricacies in there, learned and mastered the manufacturing process. From manufacturing, I went into wholesale distribution. How does it get from the manufacturer to the wholesale distribution? What are all the intricacies, the hardships there, the challenges, the opportunities? Learned it and mastered it. Then I went into, from wholesale distribution, how do you get it into the retail environment? And what are all the challenges there? Learned and mastered that. After retail, I went into global sourcing. I traveled the world. I met with many, many, many different factories and learned about custom brokerage and currency exchange rates and trends and all of the things that happened in there. And when I got done without that span, which was about 25, 26 years, I really understood the cause and effect from material in the earth all the way installed in someone's home, and what were all of the dominoes in there. And so I kind of had this idea that I had come so far with my knowledge and being very methodical that I was going to start my own consulting firm. So in 2014, I started this consulting firm. I had a company pick me up very quickly out of Florida. And I'd like to tell people this, is that in about my 5th year as a consultant, I kind of had the aha moment that the quest to be a consultant, to help people, wasn't really there because no one was really learning anything. As a consultant, I had to face the real truth, which was I was just a glorified employee. I was doing all of the work. I was still on an airplane every Monday, flying home every Thursday. And so my wife and I had a conversation, and I said, look, I really have a passion to help business owners. I wanted to see people like my mom and dad that had the guts, the determination, right? They took those cinder blocks and they strapped them to their ankles and they jumped. I wanted the people that I knew not to have to go through what my parents went through over and over and over again. So I brought it home. I came back to Atlanta and I said, look, I'm going to bring my knowledge to the home front, and I'm going to switch from being a consultant where I was doing all the daggone work to being a coach where I actually helped teach people why it was important so that they could go out and duplicate. And so that's where we're at today, John, is education is probably the single most important thing as business owners that we can do for ourselves. Is how do we, again, the brain is so vast. We always have to be educating ourselves. And so that's the short story of a long trip. Yeah,
that's quite a journey. And it helps explain your passion, which is comes through loud and clear, which is great. So Jason, I'd love it if you could share, and obviously you don't have to use a name, but if you could share maybe a success story of a client that you've worked with, you're particularly proud of their outcomes.
Yeah. The one that comes to mind almost immediately, and it's nothing significantly huge with numbers, although the number is big. Her name is Vicky. And Vicky came to me right is smack dab, almost right as the COVID condition hit. And she had lost all but 2 of her clients. I mean, she was really in despair. And we went to work really fast. And today, if you look at her today, her number, I think I just posted this on social media today, in fact, is that her revenues are up 95%. And she was one of those where, the crisis not only affected her financially, but it affected her mentally and physically and emotionally.
Sure.
And so today, she's a whole new woman. She is living abundantly. I mean, in a very short time. I mean, just a few short months. We've done all this work in about 6 months. She's 95% up, and she's now employed 4 people. Down to she had 0. And the reason that I give this story, it's because it is about building revenue. I am a coach because I want to produce results. I want bottom line results because that's what we're here for. How do we increase your revenue? But more importantly, how do we increase your profitability? But the X factor is something that Vicky brought, which is a whole new person. She's living life. She's joyful. She's happy. She's pouring into her employees now. And when I can see a life transformed in front of me, that's why I do what I do. So it's the greatest success story I've had to date.
Great story and great words here from Jason Neu. He's with Dichi Performance Group, which is a ActionCOACH affiliate. And before we get to the most important question, which is how do folks get in touch with you, because that's really what we're about here. We were talking off air about Dichi, the word Dichi, and what that means, and I thought that was really cool. There's a lot of great significance in that.
Yeah. So back in my past life, I would go to Italy twice a year, and have a lot of friends there still. And one of my good friends there told me about a word called Dichi, and the slang word there, Dichi, really means that a person is willing to give more of themselves, and it's more important to them for your results or your well-being than their own. And that really struck home when he told me that. And so, yeah, that's what we stand for.
I love it.
We're more interested in getting you results than probably for ourselves. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's what we believe.
Well, but it comes back. That's the karma of the universe. So, Jason Neu, this has been great. And I would love it if you would answer the most important question, as I mentioned, which is for those that have heard something that makes them think I need to be in touch with that guy. Let's give them that contact information on how they can connect with you.
No problem. So you can email me at mycoach, mycoach at jasonneu.com. It's jasonneu.com. You can ring me at 404-983-0980. Or better yet, just make it real simple on yourself. Text the word profits, plural, to 21000. That's text the word profits to 21,000.
Awesome. That's pretty easy. Jason, it's been a pleasure. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you. Folks, just a quick reminder here that if you've got some issues that involve, maybe your monthly accounting is all messed up and Jason's wanting your numbers to walk you through them. Maybe you've got some administrative tasks that are keeping you tied to your desk when you really ought to be focusing on customers. Well, I've got an answer for you that involves picking up the phone and calling Chief Executive Angel, S.E. Escobedo, and she's got a whole team of angels at Office Angels that she matches their talent to your need. And what you do is you pick up the phone and call 770-442-9246, explain your problem. She will pick the right person who will fly in, get the job done, and fly out. And they do all this virtually, and they've been doing that for 20 years that way. So this pandemic business doesn't faze them for a minute. She's at officeangels.us if you want the website, but give her a call, 770-442-9246, and tell her that I sent you. And by the way, I use her. She's terrific. Just another quick reminder that if you're looking for any of our other shows, you can find them on northfultonbusinessradio.com. We're coming up on show number 300. We would really love it if you would go to your favorite podcast app where you can also find our shows, and we're on all of them, folks. North Fulton Business Radio is a search term. We would love it if you would give us a great review on your favorite app because it helps folks find the show. And it's not about us. It's about the guest we have. We want to connect people that need the services of business leaders like Jason with them. So if you could do that, that would be helpful, and it would help us make that happen. And we're on social media as well, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, North Fulton BRX. So for my guest, Jason Neu, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.